This is the beginning of the vlog in our adventures into the floodlands of the upper New South Wales region. I assume it is, judging from the GPS. We are driving out of Sydney right now and it's raining. I guess that's to be expected in a flood. Just entered Casino, the beef capital, and right after the several greyhound tracks I think that you get on entering this wonderful town, there is a chart that says water restrictions, and the dial is on very low. It is a Simpsons gag. It's a Simpsons gag. All of country Australia is a Simpsons gag. The good people at ARC then organised for us to go into a charter plane and survey the damage. Keep in mind, this was days after the peak, and you could still see entire suburbs covered in sewerage water. Our pilot said they'd never seen anything like it and thought the general sentiment forming around this area was, what's the point of rebuilding? These towns will just get flooded again. They were thinking of moving entire towns up into the mountains like they were ancient Incan cities. And from this footage you can see why. Or at least Mislav could, because...
How'd you go, mate?
Sleep on the plane again. Seeing the rotating engine, I'm just like, nay, mommy. So I didn't see anything, but I'm sure it was very devastating. I'll watch the vlog when it's done.
Wait a sec. Is it from fear? Are you like, I've got to sleep? Or is it...
No! My fear was trying not to fall asleep, and my worst nightmares came true, and it was the best damn dream I ever had.
Shout out to, I already forgot the name of the company, but...
ARC then wanted to take us around to some of the affected towns where this legend told us about what Dominic Perrottet was up to when he visited Kurakai.
The problem you've got is everybody that wanted to actually speak to him, and these are the genuine people that have lost houses and properties around here, he blew them off. You know, you've got one woman that walked over and she was irate, screaming, carrying on, and saying, look, we've lost 35 years of material down here, everything we've got's gone, can't find our animals, and he done the hand signal, shut it off and walked off.
And the constituents here wouldn't vote for him because, as you pointed out, people around here brag about getting, what was it, a 15-inch TV?
Yeah, well, one lady here was, she was upset that they'd only just last week before the flood bought a 50-inch TV. To her and her husband, that was a great thing. But these people lost it, and she's trying to talk over here, and Dom didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, so what happened?
When he first originally come here, he walked up the path, and then he got stopped and had to walk over on the grass. Then he realised that the grass is pretty wet, and his mind as such, quickly shuffled him off there onto the concrete again and moved the locals the other road so he could shuffle around up onto the concrete. And then in the end, it was just, I think, the mentality of all the locals that could see, I believe, what was going on, and just helped him onto the grass, get over in the mud like we are. And they've been sleeping on it for days, so why can't he walk on it?
Then we went into the shelter and talked to some of the people who lost their house.
Peppy had her photo taken with the Premier the other day.
Oh, this is the famous cat.
Oh, it is, yeah. When it grows up and dies, they're going to stuff it and put it in a museum.
Yeah, as they should. It's a piece of history.
She is. So our house is just up here, in this street, Adam Street. Everything is destroyed inside the house. I've still got this. I told husband he's still married.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Good try, baby. Good try.
That's very...
Photographic evidence. There's no escaping that.
We are homeless. We have family in Queensland and Sydney, but that's it. We're homeless.
So for the first couple of days,
Nothing.
no help from the government. It was just volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers. It's just irritating that they didn't get the army soon because we needed them. Underneath that stuff, half my driveway's gone. There's all these big holes here. But I'll show you inside.
And this is their house now. You'll notice it's waterfront. Shouldn't be. That's not normally a river, that's a field. Now it's a giant lake with no birds in it. You know what that means? It's contaminated with a lot of shit. and it smells like it.
Problem is you've got septic tanks that just, the lids blow off, and like I'm a builder, so I've seen that happen, and they just blow off, and you get sewer come from house to house and it'll explode all on top of the lawn. So,
that's the smell.
Tadpoles means frogs means mosquitoes.
Their house is ruined, completely and utterly ruined, and like everyone else there, they don't have insurance. You can't get insured for flooding there, but they did save their chickens.
hey guys.
She told us about how she went to Herculean efforts to save her chickens and cats. That's what she wanted saved from the floods, and when the ARC rebuilt her chicken coop, she cried and thanked them. We helped out.
Hey! At least it survived. Don't see fucking karate doing this. Where were you, karate? Where were you, mate?
Massive success. That's the kind of stuff ARC volunteers do in a crisis, but to thousands of people and thousands of injured animals. More on them later, but we were on to...
Tucky!
To speak to Sue Arnold from Independent Australia, who was cut off for about a week. Big fan of her work, check it out, but here's what she had to say. Sue, tell us what happened in the floods.
Look, it's just been a total f***ing disaster, okay? No petrol, no cash, no food, no phone of any sort, no internet. We were just completely isolated. It's been the most spectacular failure of leadership in this country.
Well, to the level that you basically had those bandits at the end of a dystopic film that are coming into your house to try and steal what possessions you have. They're trying to take your lemons, weren't they?
No, they were trying to take our lemonades.
Your lemonades, yeah.
Yes, and they were trying to take the pawpaws across the street as well because there was no food. And I had to go to my coffee shop and beg him, would you please let me have 2 eggs?
Oh my God.
It was that serious. You know the bottom line? Ukrainians had better communication with the Russian bombs and missiles falling than we had on the far north coast.
It looks like it too. It does look like a war zone here.
It is a war zone.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And when you think that Ukrainians were able to go on Skype and Zoom and talk on CNN, and we couldn't do any of that. We couldn't do a damn
And at least
thing.
their defence force came out for them. Like, what did you get again? 8 soldiers? Days late.
The smollowing in Mullumbimby, there were 2 big trucks, army trucks, and out of them got about 8 kids, really. It's 31 degrees, they're all dressed up in uniform, and heavy-duty uniform walking down the street, and it's like, really? Are they going to move washing machines and wreck cars? Honest to God, it's climate change.
That's what it is.
It's climate change.
He said it when we got into the car. He was just like, that's the first time I've actually seen the impacts of climate change.
That's
That
it.
was a little more than like, it's pretty hot in August. Yeah. You know? It was more
Well, you
than
know,
that.
if you think about it, Perrottet hasn't mentioned a word about climate change. Really, I think the failure of Telstra and NBN and cutting us off from all communication, on top of that, to have a premier who wasn't elected, who's a banker, who's stuffed up eye care, stuffed up Omicron. This is the guy in charge, you know?
What has he done so far?
What has he done?
What has he done?
What has he done?
This is getting pretty repetitive.
He's prayed a lot.
You know,
Look, he's been on his knees a lot.
You know, I honestly think there needs to be a royal commission into the failure of leadership by Perrottet. And I honestly think if the opposition doesn't demand a royal commission, what we're going to do here, hopefully, is have a People's Royal Commission. So we're going to let everybody who's had all these terrible problems come and give evidence of what's going on. Because the
You
government...
could collect it.
Yeah.
You really could. There's a lot of angry people here.
Yes, there's a huge amount, and there's an awful lot of really angry people.
Rightfully so. Because remember, these are your tax dollars. We know the government knew about the floods coming for at least a month before they did. Nothing. No response. Wasn't declared an emergency until 9 days later when it became a big enough fiasco to get a photo op for the upcoming election, which, speaking of, we tried to bomb it. Not literally, of course. You're watching YouTube, remember, this isn't the deep web. We rocked up to Scott Morrison's press conference and the atmosphere was electric. Isn't it amazing? Like, the entire population just keeps saying this is a result of climate change. And unless they come out in force like this, all of the signs get taken down. It's so weird how much the Liberal Party doesn't want you to think about climate change. It's really weird. So look at that. We're just going to try and ACA him, just run up and just be like, Mr. Morrison, why are you running away from the camera, mate? Judging by the amount of police here, I have a really good indicator that I think he's a very approachable man.
We've been at the evacuation centres. There's one just across the road over there, and they are all, it's just an absolute shit show. Sally here was there for like 5 days last week, but there was no manager. There was a manager for 2 days. And so, because...
Well, you just took it up. You just said,
I said, give me a shirt and I'll put it on and I'll take charge. And I did.
Oh, good on you. That's
I think he's here. I think he's here, yeah.
Let's go.
Water is rising! No more compromising! The water is rising! No more compromising! The water is rising! No more compromising!
How handled
It's rising! No more compromising! The water!
They can just pretend that none of this happens. It's incredible, isn't it? A lot of his life, I didn't realise this, a lot of his life must be this. Organised protests wherever he goes. And then he just goes on the news and says, yeah, well, he fed a pig some milk today. And I do like that footage, but, you know, maybe just a bit of it.
Here's what Scott Morrison's tour of Lismore actually looked like.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
And here's what he wanted it to look like. That took a lot of clash.
So that was a success. We got a one-on-one interview.
Massive. You always wanted an interview with a Liberal politician, and I think we got as close as we'll ever get. We were metres away from it. Okay, this is the last stitch attempt. You ready?
Oh, it's okay.
Is there any chance of us getting an interview, or
Nah.
you can't hear me?
It's all
Hey, they're like zoo animals in there. Hey, man. Thanks anyway. I am really scared about global warming now. This is true. This is the first time, well, apart from the entire harbour being covered in smoke, that climate change felt real. And as you so observantly pointed out, miss, it's going to be really chat. Every year it's just going to be a bunch of barbecue koalas or your house covered in other people's shit. So you don't have to do the painting every year. There's one colour available. Oh, look at these legends. Go, boys.
While we're about to do another food drop with the Animal Rescue Cooperative, Wise rocked up to help gather food for some of their very few native animals that survived.
We've been stocking up on emergency food supplies for the volunteers.
So mostly this is just for lorikeets and things, this fruit.
For birds, and we've got a lot of meat on board for raptors, so birds of prey. Yeah, in care
What a
at the
scary
moment,
name. I've never heard of raptors.
we've also got some flying foxes in care, so some bats that eat quite a lot of fruit. So we're stocked up on apples and pears.
Do you guys need more volunteers?
Yeah, always. Yeah, we're always in need of more volunteers, so people just jump on our website.
Well, thanks a lot, Liz.
Oh, that's okay. No problem. Nice to meet you.
We then went to one of the shelters where they're keeping the animals that survived the flood, but whose owners are homeless and need to keep them in accommodation. And that's where a lot of the food goes.
Well, they're special. They lay blue eggs.
What?
Yeah, they're...
Do they taste any different?
No, they say they're better.
Jordan, like this, flat hand, flat hand.
scared.
Oh, don't be scared.
Here you go, buddy.
Should let us smell it. Hi,
Doesn't
by the
want
way.
it?
A little bit closer.
Go a bit closer.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dropped it! He dropped it!
Yum, hey?
It's very nice.
They're inside separate again.
And these are all rescue dogs.
They're all those are all belonging to people who have lost everything.
Oh,
Ow,
man,
Jesus.
really?
Lost everything.
Look at this sweet Dalmatian.
You know, he's doing the smile thing. Oh, what a sweetie.
Want to go for a run? You lost everything, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Family homes, so.
Shit.
Jeez.
I'll shut the gate if you want to
The
let her.
Dalmatian's yours.
Oh, she's so sweet. Thanks so much. This feels like a storm's coming.
We should get out of here. It's not so safe.
Thankfully, the army has got 2 cases of beer.
What did we learn? What did we learn? Pretty much what I learned from books. The Libs have severely gutted both federal and state services to the point that when there is a natural disaster, guess who is in charge of it now? The deputy mayor. That seems to be the strongest government response. Local government at this stage, because as soon as the Libs are in control, they completely defund emergency services. This is after the bushfires. After they've been begging for years, we are going to see extreme natural disasters on a national scale from now on. They still haven't reinstated the funding back to what it was under Labor, let alone increased its funding, which is obviously what's going to happen. And don't give me none of this, oh, you can't afford it. Absolutely can. While this is happening, I see Scott Morrison coming out and bragging about tripling the defence budget or whatever it was. This is very well researched, this something like that. Heard him on the bloody radio. Look it up yourself. But look, that's a classic example. Even when they do put money into a service like the Defence Force was deployed days late. It was declared an emergency ground 9 days after the emergency happened, which is not what you would expect from a first world country. That was awe-inspiring. To see them go out with all of their chook pens, cichlid food. What do horses eat? A specific type of hay. That's what I found out. They're picky little bastards, aren't they? They were going out there, dropping food depots to all of the people that had got no food to give their domestic animals and pets, while also helping out any native animals that they can. Usually in a flood and everything just drowns, so there's no response for that. But the point is they help out animals, all right? And this is what you notice. We've been talking to a lot of people that have lost everything. They don't have a house, they have no contents, they have no home and contents insurance. They're not getting any of it back. What did they care about? That their chickens were fed and that they found their cats, which is what Animal Rescue Cooperative does. They didn't care about anything else except for their livestock / domesticated animals. So if you want to help them out, I'm telling you, when you are talking to these people, that's what they care about the most. It was quite heartbreaking, I've got to say. So if you can give to Animal Rescue Collective, all of that money goes to helping out in disasters, of which there will just be, this is a seasonal thing now, right? This is autumn from now on, all right? Get used to that. Love you to bits. And we'll see you in the next exciting vlog on Jordan's version of Getaway, touring various Australian hellscapes.
Not long after, Mislav and I discovered we got COVID from staying in Byron Bay for a night. Very proud of that. If I was going to get COVID anywhere, I'm glad it was there. Better than a shirt.
Please share and comment below. Comment.